Awesome. Well, welcome to today's webinar, everyone. 10 tips to secure more listings with the wealthy, hosted by MAPS coach Dan Ihara. Before I kick it over to Dan, I just have 3 quick announcements. Please note the meeting is being recorded, and we will share the link in the chat momentarily to the MAPS YouTube channel, where the recording will be available within 24 hours. Currently, everyone's on mute. However, we do value group participation, so we ask that if you have any questions for your coach, please type them into the chat box. Following the meeting, if you have any questions about today's call or our coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. And that's all for me, Dan. Take it away.
Thanks so much, Rodrigo. Good. I look forward to seeing you soon in Anaheim. Hey, everybody. Aloha. Welcome to our class called Securing Listings with the Wealthy and KW Real Estate Planner. My name is Dan Ihara. I run a team out of Hawaii. We're the #1 team in KW in Hawaii. We are also a MAPS coach. We do a group coaching class here, as well as I've been in Gary's top 100 for 10 years. And through that, he's asked me to kind of share our model. So what you're going to hear today is a lot of what we have built our business on in the last 17 years in real estate. So let's get going. So what is the opportunity here? Well, right now, as you're all experiencing, and I'm sure you're experiencing a shifting market, right? Many of us have a lack of motivated buyers and sellers, right? Because the move up person who's trying to sell their home and buy something, they're not really that willing to do that, as you can imagine, right? They're not willing to let go of their 2 or 3% interest rate to pay 5 or 6%. And so that market slowed down quite a bit. So who's really selling in the recession, and who's going to be selling over the next 2 to 3 years? It's going to be baby boomers and their parents, because they're the ones that are having all this wealth and assets in real estate, that most of that's all paid off. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we're at the brink of the largest transition of wealth in America. When the baby boomers and their parents pass on, what happens to the real estate? Well, it goes to the next generation. And unfortunately, most of our population in the country who are now acquiring this wealth, they don't have a plan and they're not sure what to do with it. And so you can position yourself in the midst of that, such that you're going to find motivated sellers and also motivated buyers. This demographic, this older adult demographic, mature adult, they're going through some life changes, right? A lot of it's going to have health problems, right? Memory problems, physical problems. All these changes are going to show up, and that's going to cause them to sell their home or move, which will also create inventory in your market. Right? In our market went down 44% in total transactions, right? A large number of transactions are gone. A lot of realtors will not be in business. Our business, though, this year was our record year. Our business went up 22%. We closed at 125 transactions, $113 million of business in our market. And why? Because we were able to attract the right listings, right? The people that wanted to sell and needed to sell. Right. What you're also going to do is you're going to learn how to build a unique niche. And then this niche doesn't have any competition, and you can own it today. You can be that person to dominate in this niche. There's a lot going on in how you build that niche, and we're going to talk about that. Also, how you secure listings and find motivated buyers. And these buyers are cash buyers, by the way, because they have equity in their property. So what does that look like? Well, if you think about those 65 years and older, 2.1 million older adults are going to leave us this year. 80% of them own real estate. That tells you there's going to be 1.68 million listings hitting the market this year alone. That's a huge number, right? If you think we're only going to have probably go down to about 4 million transactions in total, that's a lot of percentage of the listings that you're going to see in the market in the next 2 to 3 years, right? As we go through this recession. Also keep in mind, there's over 2.2 million older adults that after they retire, they move. That's a huge number of people that are having the same challenges, right? And the same problems that they're facing. And you can be that person that provides that solution. Essentially, you're looking at up to 3.9 million potential listings this year, just in the same demographic, right? So if you could focus on this market, the mature adult, you're going to find that it's going to be tons of rewards for you. So what is the opportunity? Well, there's 2 arms to this. The first arm is their primary residence doesn't work for them anymore. the house is too big, the kids are gone, and there's a 3 or 4 or 5 bedroom home, and it's just you or them, and you're their spouse. Sometimes there's a widow living in a huge home, right? Then there's deferred maintenance on that property, or maybe there's memory challenges, or maybe there's too many steps. All of these problems are going to show up organically every year. You all probably have experienced family going through challenges like this as well, right? Aunties and uncles, parents, that their home won't work for them at some point, and they're going to have to find a solution. Well, right now, there's nobody in your marketplace likely that's providing those solutions for them. And we're going to teach you how to do that in your market. The other part of the challenge is they have these investment properties. They've built wealth in real estate over the time. And now they're thinking that, wow, I don't know if my kids can handle this. Johnny's a good kid, but he's not going to be able to do what I do. He's not going to be able to manage the assets, right? He's going to run into the ground, and they're thinking in their head all of these problems, and it becomes not only a physical burden like deferred maintenance on things, but it becomes a cognitive burden, a challenge for them psychologically and emotionally, like, oh my gosh, I don't want my kids fighting when I'm gone. For a real quick question, I'll take a quick poll. How many of you have heard of a family who fought over real estate after mom and dad died? Anybody? Yeah, probably everybody's hand's going to go, right? Why does that happen? Well, it happens because we're all told to put our property in a trust, and trust is to keep it safe, and absolutely will keep it safe from probate. See, if it's not in a trust, you're going to go through probate, but it's going to keep you safe from probate. But does it keep you safe from your family? And so the conversation I have with the older adults, I say, are all of your kids alike? And you go, oh no, quickly, oh no, they're not alike. Do they think alike? Oh no. Do they act alike? Oh no. Are they in the same economic phase of life? Oh no. What you're doing by keeping it in your trust upon your demise is you're putting them in business together with the most amount of wealth they've ever owned in their life. And they don't agree. And the worst part is you being the judge and the parent, you're gone. So who's going to oversee this? Who's going to guide them? Who's going to coach them through that? And then they say to me, oh yeah, that's a problem. What do I do? Well, there's a way we can help you. Predetermined inheritance, right? Allow your family to be blessed today while you're alive versus fight while you're dead. Minimize taxes and remove the burden. If you could do that, are you interested? And everybody raises their hand, yes, right? And that's why we're getting more business. We're gonna coach you through how that works. So why is it important to know your senior relocation services? Well, number one, at some point in their life, their home, 65 years and older, their home is not going to work for them, right? It's just not going to be appropriate. Once you find them a new home, you're going to get a listing. You see, once they realize that their home doesn't work for them, sometimes it's years, months to years before they actually decide to do anything. It takes them time. They're not going to move really quickly unless it's an emergency, right? Unless they're reacting. But the planner plans a while, and the older adult, as you know, isn't going to move that quickly, right? So it's going to take some of this pipeline business that you can grow today, and that'll really take you through the next few years as far as getting listings, right? People are going to call you for advice, right? Because you have solutions for the problems that these folks have. Remember, they all have those 3 advocates. They've got an attorney, a CPA, and a financial planner, and they're going to ask them, man, my house doesn't work for me anymore. What do I do? And they don't have an answer for them because they're not a planner. They're not a real estate planner, right? They don't know where to go. And in our classes, we're going to teach you how to go find that information. How do you become the placement company in your market, right? That people will call on you for advice. When you show up with information like this, and the way we teach you how to show up is you're going to show up different from a real estate agent, because you're going to ask questions that real estate agents don't ask. Why? Because you care. And they're going to know that you care, because you're going to show up different from the other guys that show up at the listings. You're going to secure more listings, and you're going to build a shift-proof niche. This niche, I started in 2005. My wife came right after in 2006, and we know what happened in the next few years thereafter, right? I mean, the market tanked, and and a lot of agents had a really hard time. Our business kept growing, right? 10 to 35% every single year, our business kept growing because we put our head down and focus on where I can get listings consistently, regardless of the economy. Right? That's that shift-proof niche. And then you're going to build referrals from a network of trusted advisors. You know, when we ask, if you were to go into listing appointments and you ask them, who's your trust attorney, who's your CPA, and who's your financial planner, and then you called them and you said, hey, Kim, you know, we have a mutual client. Her name is so-and-so. She's thinking of selling her home. Are you taking new clients? And he's going to say, yes. And say, well, you know, what I'd love to do is take you out on lunch and learn more about your business. Right? Understand what you do and the value proposition you provide to your clients, because we have clients that are always looking for people that need help. I mean, they need one of you, right? A financial planner, CPA, or a trust attorney, right? And sometimes they don't have it. And I'd love to refer you business. And by the way, here's what we do. Here's the solution we provide. What happens when you walk out of that lunch? You're gonna get referrals because you built a relationship with somebody. I used to come from the car business. Don't hold that against me. We used to use the word bird dog, right? The person that brings the client to you, right? That's what you want to build. You want to build a whole population of trusted advisors that know that you provide value to clients, and then you also feed them leads. You know, you're going to build a larger funnel of business, and you're going to get in front of these people before anybody even knows they're thinking of selling, right? Because they're thinking of the move, they're not thinking of the sell. Typically in the beginning, they're figuring out where to go. If you can get in the front of that pipeline, yeah, then you're going to be the person that helps them through the whole process. Right? So why are they downsizing and moving? Well, it's real simple. For physical and health challenges. You know, we're typically it starts with our knees and our hips and our back, right? Walking. We'll also have vision problems. We'll have hearing problems. We'll have heart cancer. There's a lot of things that are going to show up in this population's life if it's unfortunate, right? And they're going to be in a bad situation sometimes, or sometimes they're planning for something that they're noticing. A lot of it's memory loss, right? Husband and wife, they see one of them losing their memory, they start to plan for this, right? And you can be that person to wrap your arms around these folks and change their life in a meaningful way, right? And it's hugely beneficial financially, but more importantly, inside it feels good, right? It feels good to help people. And then mental health challenges, you know, memory loss and dementia, it's real. And that's going to be the largest pandemic that we were going to have as this silver tsunami rolls through our country with people that are living longer, right? In today's world, they can keep us alive longer, right? Medical technology. What they don't have is something for our mind and our brain. That's up to us, right? So we have to stay cognitively sharp. And that's why we're fans of retirement communities. Selling and paying for long-term care needs. Some people know that their cost is going to go higher, and most of their wealth is in their real estate, right? And they have to move out and sell it. Sometimes it's family dynamics, right? Family moves away, and their dream child, their golden child, has a child, and now they moved out of the state. And where do you think they're going to spend their time? Where this child is, right? So they're moving for family needs, right? Some are moving in with family because, you know, mom can't stay at home anymore, and she banged the car too much, and so now she's moving with family. Right? Well, the home's too big and too much work to maintain. That's awfully common. They're selling and buying something smaller. This is a proactive person that says, my kids are gone, my house is too big, I'm active and young, but I stopped working, so I want to travel, right? And so I want something that I can just lock the door and leave, not have to worry about. I can be gone for a month or two, right? This is the demographic, right? The wealthy older adult, they have money to do things like this, and that's the target, right? Many are moving into retirement communities. This is the largest transition that folks are doing, is they're independently or assisted or skilled nursing moving to retirement communities. And everywhere you go, in fact, your homework today is after this class is go to Google and put in retirement communities near me, and you're going to find them all. They're going to show up, and you're going to be quite astounded at how many there are. Some are going to want to move to a lower cost of living because their taxes or the cost of living is higher where they are. We see a lot of that. We actually see a lot of folks moving out of California, going into the middle of the country, out of the East Coast, where it's a little bit more, a little cheaper, right? Cost of living. Or a warmer climate, you know, the snowbirds, they're selling out of the cold country and moving down. And a lot of them are just moving closer to family or medical care. We have a number of clients that move because they had to go to the cancer specialist or the heart specialist. You know, you're going to see this movement in this population, and these are the reasons why they're moving. So what are their options? Well, number one, they can downsize to a smaller house. This is the proactive person that says, my house is too big, I'm going to sell my big house and buy a smaller house or a townhouse, or they'll move into a condo. Then there's a demographic that goes in to live with family or friends, right? Because they need care, and they don't have the financial means to have somebody to pay for somebody to help them. Many are going into retirement communities, as I said earlier, and then care homes. That's where they're not independent. It's going into a skilled nursing facility at some level. You know, so what's the problem? Their home doesn't work anymore, and they have to move. What you want to do is you want to be that complete solution to help them with everything. What is everything? It first starts with where do they go? They need to know where they're going to go. So what if you knew the solutions? What if you knew the people in those retirement communities? What if with a single phone call, you could call and book them an appointment to say, hey, Mrs. Jones would like to take a tour on Thursday at 3. Is that okay? And then you say, yeah, and you go with them on that tour, right? And you wrap your arms around that person and you say, no, I'm going to help you make this easy. And then number two is you're going to help them with their stuff. You know, their biggest challenge is their personal belongings. Not that anybody has too much stuff, right? But yeah, right? We all have too much stuff. Well, the longer you're on this planet, guess what? You have more time to collect stuff. And that's what happens with this demographic. Many of them are hoarders. Many of them have too much stuff. Well, we use a simple sort acronym: sell, offer, retain, and toss. Everything in your house fits in one of 4 piles. Keep it simple. It will help them with that process. Now this, another solution you're going to want to type in is NASM, N-A-S-M-M, the National Association of Senior Move Managers. If you Google them, you put that in Google, you find the website, you put in your zip code, you're going to find all of the companies that provide this solution. See, you don't have to provide the solution. You just have to know the resource. You have to be resourceful enough to solve the problem. Now, 14 years ago, we started our own company like this because it didn't exist in our market. We didn't have any options. Back then, there were no companies of its kind. So we started a company called Senior Move Managers in Declutter, Hawaii. And we became the solution provider for everybody with too much stuff. And so retirement communities would call us and say, could you help these people? And by the way, they were going to help move in and they need to sell their home. You know, in one retirement community out of 180 units, we've moved in over 100 families in that building. Why? Because we are able to identify the problem, and we provide the solution, right? It's that simple. Once you understand the problem and they are clear on what the problem is, and you provide that solution, you're gonna get an agreement. You're gonna get it. The other is moving and setting up their new home. That's another challenge, right? So number 2 and number 3, that's a senior move management company, a move manager, right? That's the solution that you want to make sure that you understand what they do and how you can partner with them to move this client. And then getting their home ready for sale. You want to get good at being the resourceful person that has solutions for everything. Now, we built a complete solution based on that, meaning anything that goes wrong on a piece of property, we can solve that problem some way, somehow. We'll get you a solution, right? Whether it's windows and doors or kitchens and baths or roof or foundation or electrical and plumbing or pool or yard, it doesn't matter, right? We are going to help you solve that problem. That's what they want. See, they want to call one person that can help them with everything. When you're older, you don't want to talk to 15 different people. You're going to get confused. So we simplify things by creating a package called the complete solution. You become the real estate planner to help them with that, right? And then communicating on a regular basis and advocating them, and connecting and collaborating with trusted advisors that will, number one, you can use their name as a solution to one of their challenges, and vice versa, right? Because I said on the bottom, the sale of the property is a byproduct of the services we provide, right? Most people have that the other way around. I'm a realtor, all I do is I sell real estate. We flip that on its head, and we're going to provide all the solutions for that person. And that's why we don't have competition. So the other opportunity is investment properties, and that's huge. In fact, that's almost half of our business today. See, what I didn't realize is there's 44 million household units that are rented. 34% of all household units are rentals. What does that mean? They're owned by somebody that doesn't live there. And half of those properties are getting transferred down from somebody who passed away. So who do you think owns them? Well, it's the wealthy older adult. And most of these guys don't have any debt. Why? Because they paid it off. They've owned it long enough, right? Their problem, though, is they're concerned about their kids. They're concerned about them managing it. They're concerned about them running it. They're concerned because they did it most of the time themselves. They're concerned about their kids. Why? Because they didn't train their kids to do what they do, right? There aren't that many skilled, I'd say less than a fraction of 1% are actually true investors. Most of the clients that we serve are what I call accidental investors. These are people that became an investment because they inherited something, not because they said, I'm going to run an analysis of cash on cash analysis, and I'm going to run a cap rate analysis. I'm going to determine. Many of them are not that. Because of this transfer of wealth, it's the millionaire next door, right? And there's tons of them. Oh, there's a question. Do you charge for the other services? Yes, the other services that are needed, those are vendors, and the client pays those vendors directly, right? Yeah, I'm not going to pay that because it's not my home, right? Have I? I think in the past, from time to time, if it was important enough of a listing for me, and if they were really in dire straits. Now I offer a service to pay for it, and they pay me at escrow, right? And they charge me a service fee. So I'm monetizing that part of the business as well, right? I can collect money on the money that I'm using. I'm kind of basically loaning the money, essentially, right? So with investment properties, there's 5 reasons seniors are burdened with their investment property. Number one is the physical deficiencies, right? They've had a property for a while, or they inherited it from their parents. Classic example, every week I'm selling one of these that, I got inherited it. Some of them never even visited the property, never been in the home, or if so, it was a long time ago. Some of it was a home they grew up in, right? The mom passed away and they inherited it, became an investment property, but no one's ever fixed it up because mom was on a fixed income. It didn't make sense to do that, right? Then there's a cognitive stress, the mental concern about the kids being able to deal with it and to worry about things, right? Family disputes, they're worried about their kids fighting, right? And legal issues with the property. What if the property is vacant and now we have intruders, or what if they passed on their property while they're alive and now they have a carryover in cost basis? There's a lot of reasons why you can have that. Or if it wasn't in a trust, they thought it was, but it wasn't. Now it's going to go through probate, right? Understanding how this works, understanding the solutions that you need to provide, that's important because you're going to get a listing because people need help. So we have a whole probate division, we have a trust division, senior relocation, and a 1031 exchange. All of that is the same demographic that provides solutions to people's problems, right? And then obviously they want to avoid capital gains taxes. So what's the opportunity? The investment properties that are the burden, they don't want to pay capital gains taxes. They want to create an inheritance plan because they don't want their kids fighting, right? If they sell, it's all cash, so they're a strong buyer, right? So a 1031 exchange can exist whereby you avoid capital gains taxes, you release the burden of the property, remove family fights, right? And now you have a strong cash buyer that's selling and has to buy something within a certain time period, right? So now you have a motivated buyer because he's got a small window, 45-day window to assign his replacement property. Okay? Once you start understand the 1031 exchange, you'll understand it's the most underutilized tool in real estate today. Why? Because people are afraid of it. And realtors in general, I'd say less than 1% are really have gone to mastery at the 1030. We did, because we knew that that was a solution that needed to be solved if you're going to avoid capital gains tax. And we knew that the people that owned them were the wealthy older adult, which is the same market that we're serving in their home. And that's why we're doing so many of these, right? So is it a good time to do a 1031 exchange? The absolute yes, if you want to increase or upgrade your portfolio. Right? So this is a younger demographic, typically anywhere from, I'd say, 40 to 65, maybe 70, right? That range of a person. Some are going to want to relocate the asset and the equity from one community to another. Some are going to exchange it for a lower cost maintenance asset. Some of them have a large maintenance fees that are rising, right? We see a lot of that, right? Property taxes that are rising. We'll move it out of state and go to a different state, right? Some are exchanging for a higher cash flow, right? What if I were to ask you all, and let's just say you're investors, and I had to ask you all, I know you have an investment property. Would you like a free asset performance test? How many would you raise your hand? Free asset performance test. You would, right? Because it sounds really interesting. And you don't even know what an asset performance test is. I know you don't know because I made it up. There's no way for you to know. Now, truly, I did make it up. It's really simply, it's a cash on cash analysis and a cap rate analysis. And that's how we measure the performance of a real estate asset. It's kind of like if you bought a stock or a bond or any other instrument, you measure that return, right? Well, we do that same thing for real estate. Most real estate agents aren't comfortable with that. And so we coach to that so that you master it. And I've been doing this so long, I just do it on a napkin, right? Now we have real forms that we use, but to make it more legitimate. But yeah, what if you could do that? You're going to stand out in the crowd. Financial planners are going to refer you business. Accountants are going to refer you business because you understand taxes and you also understand how to avoid them. A lot of it's a poor property condition. You know, they want to sell the house. They don't want to pay $20,000 to put a roof in because the roof's going. They're going to sell the whole asset and buy something newer. We have a lot of clients doing this too. Exchanging land is your best 1031 exchange target. Why? Land typically is an asset that's worth something, but rarely brings in income, net income, right? You pay property taxes on that, but how much income are you really bringing? So we took a guy that had mom's house that he grew up in. Mom passed away. Mom lived there. After mom passed away, he left it there for another 5 years. It got so badly deteriorated that he had to tear the house down. So now he's got a vacant lot with no income. He finds out about a 1031 exchange. He comes to see our class. We sell the asset for $700,000. We buy another 1031 exchange into a condo. He netted $2,200 more a month every single month. And he has an asset he doesn't have to worry about because of maintenance. We changed that guy's life. We absolutely changed his life. We gave him $24,000 a year or more, right? And he didn't do anything. We helped him do that, right? And then creating a legacy for your family while you're alive. And that's one of the things that is more and more common today because this generation is looking in advance to what life's going to look like when they're gone. And they're concerned. They're concerned about who's going to get what. They're concerned about how it's going to be given. And they're saying, wow, I'd love to do that sooner than later. Also, the real astute investor is saying, you know what, I've owned this property for greater than 30 years. I have no depreciation schedule left. I want to sell and buy it. I want to improve my depreciation expense that I can take out so I can net more money. That's the astute guy, right? And so we're selling homes that, for example, Hawaii and California, where the land value is high and the improvements are low, and we're selling and buying something where there's area where the land value is low and improvements high. What that does is it increases the depreciation benefit that that person has today. Right? So these are the things that we're helping people build wealth and transfer wealth. Please note that one of the first questions in doing a 1031 exchange with a client is, I asked them to do me one piece of homework. I want you to talk to your CPA or accountant. I want you to tell me what your tax burden is if you sell this property and you do not do a 1031 exchange. You want to do that because you want to know what pain looks like. And that's going to be your button to push whenever they slow down and maybe failure could be in your way. We've done over 250 of these 1031 exchanges. We've never failed. And there's a reason for that. We have a model to protect them and a strategy and a conversation that's going to help provide success.
So 1030
questions. Okay. Let me finish this and then we'll get to questions. Okay, we're going to wrap up. I know I'm really behind schedule. We're going to wrap up here with transferring wealth and creating a legacy. And this is something we built many, many years ago. And we need to update it because the graphics are a little old. Anyways, mom is a widow. She owns an asset that she doesn't live in. We'll call it an even $1 million, okay? And mom has a widow and she has got 4 kids, George, Lucy, Grant, and Ann. And everyone's fine, everyone loves each other. They live in different parts of the country. Some have kids, some don't, right? But mom says, you know, when I die, I don't want my kids fighting over the property because I've seen people do that and I don't want that to happen. What do we do? So they come to us and say, if you could create a plan such that it removes that fight, would you be interested? The answer is yes. So we got ourselves an appointment. She shows up and we say, if you sell that $1 million asset and you do a 1031 exchange, you can exchange it from 1 to 4, which means every child can predetermine their inheritance. Every child can be part of the selection process for the replacement of your 1031 exchange. The beautiful thing about that is you can do that in any state in America because most of the kids aren't in the same community anymore. So they have no interest in that big building that nobody's ever going to appreciate or use. But what if Lucy's kids needs a house? What if one of her kids is a great person that mom really loves and she says, you know, it would be great if we could bless her today versus let them fight when I'm gone. So what they do is they sell one and they buy 4. It stays in mom's name. George, Lucy, Grant, and Ann already have predetermined in which properties will come to them when mom dies, but it belongs to mom. It belongs to mom. And that's why the 1031 exchange defers your capital gains tax because mom still owns it. But Lucy, her daughter, that's a new nurse now, that's got a great job, that's got great credit. What does she not have? A down payment. She uses that $250,000 as a down payment. She gets a mortgage for $250,000. She now has the ability to buy a $500,000 asset where she would never do that before. See, she could qualify for the loan. She just didn't have the down payment. Mom blessed her today while she's alive. And so she can see the enjoyment in her family and the legacy that she's created while she's alive versus not seeing it and then passing on. So when mom passes on, it goes straight to the kids, tax-free, tax-free. For many of you, you know this, but I'm going to explain it for those who don't. There's 2 types of cost basis. Cost basis is what you buy the property at. Then there's this thing called capital gain. All the asset appreciation, when it's sold, that's called capital gain. Well, the government's going to take that money, a portion of it. Depending on what state you're in, state laws are different. So state and federal taxes, let's just say round numbers 20 to 30% that they're going to take, okay, of the gain. So if mom keeps it in her name, right, in her trust, and when she dies, it passes on to Lucy, right? Lucy gets a step up in cost basis, which means there's zero capital gains tax. She just saved $300,000 versus passing it on while mom was alive. Lucy would then absorb her cost basis of $25,000 and she's selling it at $1 million. She's responsible for all that gain. You don't want to do that. So knowing that alone matters, right? Knowing that matters, right? And so when we show up at a listing presentation, we're asking questions like this that most realtors don't ask. What's your cost basis? What's your capital gain tax? Who's your trust attorney? Who's your CPA? Who's your financial planner? We're asking questions that are different because you know what? The questions that we ask as a real estate planner, realtors don't ask that. Why? Because it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter into the sale. See, if you change from being a transactional realtor and you show up as a consultant, you're asking different questions because you're consulting that person holistically, not worried about the transaction. Okay, and that's the mindset. That's the mission we're on, is to transfer our real estate agents in KW to becoming a consultant, not a transactional commodity. You know, our mission is to build a community of real estate planners that facilitate conversations, provide solutions, and execute plans to build generational wealth and accomplish the goals of the family. So we have a coaching program. If you have your phone, take your phone out, click it on the QR code on the right side, where you're going to have access to information regarding this class called Securing Listings with the Wealthy. This is open to anybody, KW or non-KW agents. And it's $199 for 4 classes. They're 1 hour each. And we're going to talk about understanding the opportunity with the wealthy older adult. How do you have the conversation? What matters to them? How do you attract them? And then we're going to do becoming a senior relocation specialist, because when you are one, you're going to attract listings. Okay? And then learning how a 1031 exchange, a DST, which is a Delaware Statutory Trust, which is a safety net for a 1031 exchange, could be. And legacy planning can grow your business. Okay. Legacy planning is the largest movement we see in real estate today, right? Because of the size of the population that's having to go through this challenge. And by the way, we have clients that are the wealthy older adult that have kids that are 50 and 60s that are financially stable, and they have grandkids. We have 3 levels of business, right? If you want to build a pipeline of business, you want to attract the wealthy family that you can touch all the generations, right? And help all of them, right? Build wealth and transfer wealth. And then we're going to explain gaining knowledge on wills, trust, and probate. We know that if somebody passes away, it'll be either a trust sale or a probate sale, right? And what are the problems that they're going to face, right? Well, I can tell you in a trust, when a trustee is named, a successor trustee is named, they likely don't get any training, right? They're just named because they're so-called the most responsible person or child, right? So who trains them? Nobody does. So we started getting calls from people saying, hey, I'm a trustee, now what? I don't know what to do. They don't want to pay the attorney to figure that out. So we built a class called I'm a Trustee, Now What? There's 17 things that you'll want to know, that you'll want to have to do to make sure you fulfill the obligations of that instruction trust. And then we have the real estate planner. So this is a community. It does have a requirements on the bottom. You have to have $75,000 of gross commission income, 2 years of license in good standing. And this is only open to 5% of the marketplace in your marketplace. Okay. So if you're interested in that, take your phone out, click on the QR code, because that's where you're going to have all the information, all the videos. If you want to talk to me, there's a Talk to Dan button. If you have any question on any of this, there's a Talk to Dan, just go and ask them. You'll see testimonials. You'll see some of our community members. We also have monthly training. So every month, there's a training in each of these areas, every single month, right? And after that, there's a certification test. So there's a knowledge check. Once you pass that test, you become certified. And you can use this in your marketing, but more importantly, you're going to be more equipped to attract the wealthy older adult. We have a private Facebook group where we're sharing leads and information and success stories. Quite amazing group that we have. And we're sharing leads through that. And then obviously we have monthly masterminds. So we have a class once, and then 3 weeks, every week there's on a Thursday, this is all Thursdays, every single week we're pouring into our community in masterminds. So it's either going to be a technical training, it'll be a tactical training, meaning the conversation, right? It could be a spotlight, agent spotlight. One of our agents in our community has done something really well, and you're going to see them, right? Proof of concept. We're going to show that. And then on Mondays, every Monday, we have role playing. We have conversations and questions that we we teach on, and then we actually let you practice it, live practice with the community, right? And we all support each other in that conversation. Okay. You'll get all the tools, all the forms, all the videos. You'll get all of our PowerPoint presentations. I've done over 1,000 of these that are plug and play. You can customize it yourself. All the brochures that have built our business, where everything we have is open to our community members for $199 a month. And lastly, is there one of the videos? And lastly, we have a free trip for people who are interested in joining the community. Is this last one? Okay. It's a free trip to Hawaii. Not that anybody wants a free trip to Hawaii, but for community members, if you join, there's a way that you can earn a trip to Hawaii. We will be at Family Reunion. We will have a mastermind on Friday the 17th. So if you're in Anaheim on that day, it's free. It'll be an hour and a half. We're going to dive deep into the senior relocation and the 1031 exchange, really deep. And you're going to get a lot of nuggets there that you're going to put in your business. And then we have 3 breakouts, one called Key Relationships with All Real Estate Planners. On the 18th, we're doing a breakout session, Seniors Need Solutions, Relocation Services, and more during the shift. And lastly, we're going to do one, Protect Your Clients' Generational Wealth. And we're doing that with Brett Tanner in the wealth division. So we're gonna pour out to our community here in KW, and we're just having a great time. It's been so much fun. Is that the last slide? Okay, sorry. That's the last slide for our presentation. Do we have some questions? Kimberly says, heck yeah, Hawaii. Pretty nice here. All right. Let's see. And any questions that we missed? Open up for questions and ahas. Will this course provide a certification? The answer is yes, it does. This is only a Keller Williams certification. Okay, it's not a NAR certification, but it is a certification, yes. Anybody have any questions? You can unmute yourself.
Hi, it's Mark Benson in Naples. Just wanted to ask you, are there people who are already certified in this program? Is there a directory going to be available?
Yes, 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 and yes. We actually have a map of every member and where they are in the community. I mean, where they are in the United States. Yeah, and we have certifications. They will likely have badges as well on there. So you can identify them and you can talk to them. If you have a question and want to talk to any of our members, let us know and we'll put you in touch with a member. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. I'm coming out to Naples, by the way, in April. After Spring Mastermind, I'm coming out to Tampa, and then, I'm sorry, not Naples, Tampa, and then Orlando.
Great.
In April. Questions? Aha. Oh, Bethany has a question. She raised her hand.
Yeah, my question is how long does your program take for the certification? And I don't see the previous screen, but I'm a little bit confused. What is the plan? Is there 2 separate things, like a planner and something else?
Yes, yes. So let me answer them independently. There's 2 different things. There's a group coaching class, right? Which is this, Securing Listings with the Wealthy. This is only 1 month. It's 4 hours. It's $199. And there's anybody can attend. Okay, anybody can attend. Right.
Got it.
And then if you want to take your business to the next level or just go directly there, you would join the KW Real Estate Planner community. And click on the QR code there. And that's how you get the training and certification. Right.
Okay.
This is where you're going to learn how to get more listings. Right. Everything that we focus on is, I'm a high D kind of guy, and all I do is listings, and I only want to hear somebody that's going to get me to my goal, which is to get me to a listing.
Right. Okay.
If you were to do a seminar for this particular demographic, who are some good people to invite in the way of, say, experts to be there at that seminar, besides, you know, vendors of retirement communities, et cetera?
Good question. So I think there's 2 levels, two markets, right? There's their primary residence, which is senior relocation. And that typically would be a retirement community. I'd use a senior move manager, right? A senior move manager would be helpful. That's all you really need, because you should be able to provide all the rest of the solutions they're going to have. When you're
Would an accountant be a good person who might be able to better explain the 1031 exchange, et cetera?
On the investment side, yes, an accountant would be helpful. 1031 exchange accommodator would be helpful. So when we started this 17 years ago, we had different vendors come in and speak. And what we found was that because they're going to give out their cards, sometimes they'll go directly to them and not come to us, right? Which means they would go to our vendor that was there, or an allied resource that was there, and then they'd use somebody else. So we stopped that. We just started doing our own. We became the source of all information. And so when they came to us, we would then connect them to one of our partners, right? So now we're actually handing a referral to somebody, right?
That makes sense.
We found that more effective. Miss Bell, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Yes and no? Yes. Somebody had her miss. Oops, we lost her. Bethany has her hand up. Bethany, you there? Miracle Larson?
She actually put a question in the text, in the chat. She did, when I
passed away, their POA executive chooses another listener. Will there be a role play on how I can be top of mind? Yes. 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 So what she's saying is that by the time she gets there, they're picking somebody else as a realtor, basically. So when somebody passes away, you're going to if it's a trust sale, you're going to have a successor trustee, an executor, right? Or somebody speaking on behalf, if they're alive, a power of attorney, right? And so you want to be in front of that before they decide on their realtor. How do you do that? You have to take mind share. You have to yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, sir. It's not going to happen overnight. But only way it's going to happen is you start. Right? You must start. And that's what we did. We started. And 17 years later, we have a moat around our business that we don't have any competition, right? And everybody knows what we do, right? So best thing to do is to start. Was there any other hands up? Any other questions that we missed? Can't see the QR code. Somebody said they can't see the code. Okay, there it is.
Quick question for you.
Yes, Taylor.
First, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. It sounds like you have your Declutter Hawaii business, and it's a great ancillary business and service with the real estate stuff. Within the paid membership group, do you teach like those models and stuff? And reason I ask is my younger brother, he has been looking to start a business, isn't super business savvy, and I don't have the time to do it. So I think this could maybe be a good joint venture for me to empower him, if that's something you're teaching within that as well.
Not globally, not to everybody, but I do take clients on a one-on-one basis that I coach, and I'd be happy to do that. Yeah. Okay. Know that I'm going to tell you the good and bad with everything. Okay, just know about me. I'm going to be transparent. All right, I'm going to tell you everything that, I'm not going to say anything. So there's good and bad with everything, and I'd be happy to take that offline, Taylor. Go to the click on the link, talk to Dan. You'll get in my calendar. We're going to talk about it.
Okay. Thank you, Dan.
My pleasure, Taylor. Thanks so much for asking. Deborah Newsom has a question.
Hi, I was always under the impression that a 1031 exchange had to be like properties, but I heard you mention earlier a scenario where someone bought a condo.
Yes. So thank you for bringing that up, and I appreciate that. And that's the common myth, is like kind. But what we don't understand is what's the definition of like kind. Like kind means it's real estate in the United States. That's what like kind means. It could be held for current or future appreciation. Right, so it doesn't have to have income, and I could sell an apartment building and buy a shopping center. I can sell a piece of land and buy a skyscraper in Waikiki. I can do any of that. It has to be real estate, it has to be fee simple, and it has to be in the United States. And you cannot live in it. That's the criteria. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Melissa, Queen, I love your last name.
Thank you. This is awesome. This is like so great. One question that I have is, do you also have to be NAR certified?
No.
Okay.
To join the community? No.
No, just to be considered a real estate planner.
Well, see, so NAR has a senior real estate specialist course, right? A certification. I took that. They asked me to teach it. I haven't done that yet. I'm a little busy right now. And in 2014, so every year they give out one award out of the $1.2 million senior relocation specialist, right? And they gave one to me for what we do. So I could teach the class. I like what they're doing in the organization, but it doesn't get me to my goal of getting a listing, right? That's what this does. We're going to get you to a listing based on the conversation, based on how you market yourself, based on the tools. We have a mailer that goes out to a targeted market that gets the phone to ring. And we share all that in our community. Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Sarah Spring.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up on one thing you were mentioning with the 1031. What about the person? You've got a 1031 or you have a 1031 and you're taking that money and you're buying another property. Are you buying it from another person? Who are you
Yes.
buying it from?
Yes.
What standing do they have to be in?
They don't have to be anything. So
Just be a normal person selling a
Yeah.
house.
So the IRS says if you gain anything, if capital gain exists, they're going to charge you a capital gain tax. There's a deferment to that. Many years ago, I believe it was in '87, they came up with the 1031 exchange. And what they said is, I'm going to defer your capital gains tax as long as whatever you sell at, you're going to buy something of equal or greater value, and you're going to stimulate the economy, right? You're not going to take money out of the economy. You're going to keep it. So you have to buy something of equal or greater than. Right. So that's the only requirement. And there's timeframes, obviously 45 day to identify and 180 days to close. And that's where people get stuck on. But again, we've never failed one. So does that answer your question, sir?
It did. Thank you so much.
Does Deborah Newsom have another question? Or is that an old hand that was sticking out?
No, that's an old hand, but thank you. You're very helpful.
It's my pleasure. Any ahas before we close? Anything what was good for you? What are you going to take away?
So
Anybody?
I got probably no less than a new dozen ideas of how to wrap this into multiple ways of benefiting our clients. I was talking to another member on here. One, you could turn this into white glove concierge, where you're talking about an accountant. I mean, we already say who's a great gardener, who's a good person to build a sunroom, like turn it into white glove. And when they call you, you're like, you know what? I'm so happy you called me. Yes, I have a perfect person. Would you like me to go ahead and call them and set them up for you?
Yes.
And
yes.
take that off of their plate.
Yes.
Doing that, and then also in turn having an ABA with those people. So then you're their preferred realtor. So everybody's feeding each other.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And there's a lot of it's going to come around the corner, right? Because we've got a lot of older adults transitioning and passing on. Kimberly Reeves has a question.
This was amazing. This is something that I've just kind of had my eye on for a while, and I just love all the value that you've put into this. So thank you so much. My biggest aha was the multi-generational. So as I'm talking to friends who have parents who they're starting to deal with some of their parents, and then they also have kids who are going to college and looking for investment properties, I'm starting to see this, and it's great to have more solution and more resources. And I really feel like it's just that knowledge that'll help us serve in such a greater way.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Our conversation is completely different, right? Because we're going to ask questions that don't impact us, but impacts them. Right? We even talk about their kids. At the end, I asked them, so tell me about your kids. Start from the oldest to the youngest. What's his name? What does he do? Where does he work? Does he have kids? Do they own property? Do they have investment properties? I mean, see, how can you be, it's kind of like you go to the doctor and you show up and says, give him this. And like, well, you didn't ask me anything, right? You don't know anything about what my feelings are inside, that's what a realtor does. Say, you need to do this. So realtors are prescribing things that may not be good for them, right? Why? Because it's good for the realtor, right? And I'm on a platform now that we're going to change the world one at a time. You all are going to impact your community and you're going to show up differently, right? And our company, Keller Williams, is going to stand out above all else about doing the right thing all the time, right? And it matters. Okay. Awesome. Any other ahas before we go? I'm like totally way over time. I'm so sorry. If not, thanks so much. If you're going to Anaheim, let us know. We'd love to connect with you there. If you'd like to join the community, please click on that and sign up. If you want to talk, there's a Talk to Dan button. Anyways, thanks everybody. Aloha. Have a great day. Yee-hee.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you.
My pleasure.